Did you know that coffee is the second most consumed beverage on the planet, right after water? Every single day, over 2.4 billion cups of coffee are poured, sipped, and savored across the globe. From bustling cities to remote mountain villages, coffee fuels mornings, conversations, and creativity. And leading this global ritual is none other than Nescafe, the brand that delivers more than 1 billion cups of coffee to people around the world every day. But have you ever wondered how Nescafe turns humble green coffee beans into the instant coffee that wakes up millions each morning? The journey is far more fascinating, far more intricate than most realize. Let's dive behind the scenes and discover the incredible story of how Nescafe's instant coffee is made. The adventure begins in a region near the equator known as the Bean Belt, where the conditions are just right for coffee cultivation. With rich red volcanic soil and a warm, humid climate, this belt stretches through countries like Brazil, Vietnam, Colombia, and several African nations. Brazil alone produces nearly 40% of the world's coffee, making it a powerhouse in the coffee economy. On these lush plantations, coffee plants, typically Arabica or Robusta varieties, take root and flourish. It takes about 3 to 4 years for a coffee tree to bear fruit, but with proper care, it can continue producing cherries for decades, even up to 200 years in rare cases. Among coffee connoisseurs, Arabica is revered for its smooth body, aromatic profile, and subtle acidity. You can spot an Arabica bean by its oval shape and distinctive wavy crease. Robusta, on the other hand, has a more bitter, full-bodied taste with higher caffeine content and a straighter crease down the middle. Nescafe carefully blends these two varieties to create its signature instant coffee. Rich in flavor and tailored to suit different palates across the globe, harvesting coffee is an art and a science. Timing is everything. Farmers closely monitor the trees, waiting for the cherries to ripen into a deep red color, an indicator that the sugars and flavors inside are perfectly developed. This ripening process can take 6 to 9 months from the time the flower blooms. Once about 95% of the cherries on a tree are ripe, harvesting begins. Skilled pickers move through the rows, gently handpicking only the ripest cherries and leaving the green ones to mature further. It's not uncommon for farmers to revisit the same tree multiple times to ensure every cherry is harvested at peak perfection. For every 100 cherries collected, fewer than 10 can be unripe to meet quality standards. Baskets slung over their backs, pickers move with focus and efficiency, gathering several pounds at a time before taking them to the collection area. On large-scale plantations, handpicking can be labor-intensive and time-consuming. That's where modern harvesting machines come into play. These powerful machines can strip an entire coffee tree in under 30 seconds. The magic lies in 2 rotating drums, each equipped with 1,500 flexible rods, spinning at around 1,000 rotations per minute. As the drums rotate in opposite directions, they create intense vibrations that cause only the ripe cherries to fall off. The cherries land gently on collection trays below and are quickly filtered to remove leaves and twigs before being transferred to processing trucks. Once the cherries reach the primary processing facility, they undergo a rigorous inspection. Experienced workers manually sort through the harvest, discarding any bruised, underripe, or damaged cherries. This attention to detail is critical. Any compromise in quality at this stage can affect the flavor and consistency of the final product. From here, the beans are ready for one of 2 traditional processing methods: dry or wet. In the dry method, whole coffee cherries are spread out on large patios to dry under the sun. This process can take up to 30 days, depending on the weather, and requires constant attention. Workers regularly turn the cherries to ensure they dry evenly and to prevent mold growth. As they dry, the cherries darken from red to brown, releasing a deep, earthy aroma. Once the moisture level drops to about 11 to 12%, The cherries are fed into vibrating machines that separate the outer husks from the inner beans. The vibration and friction gradually break down the dried skin, revealing smooth, shiny coffee beans that are then sorted by size and quality. The wet method, also known as the washed process, offers a more refined approach and is especially favored for producing high-end Arabica coffees. First, the cherries are submerged in water, where they are washed to remove dirt and lightweight impurities. Next comes the depulping stage. A massive centrifugal drum spins at high speed, generating enough force to separate the fleshy outer layers from the inner beans. What remains are beans still covered in a sticky substance called mucilage. To remove this layer, the beans are flushed through a long watered channel. Skilled workers use rakes and paddles to stir the water and beans, creating the friction needed to scrub off the mucilage. Once clean, the beans are collected and laid out to dry. Just like in the dry method, but since they're already stripped of their outer fruit layers, this drying phase takes only 7 to 10 days. Once dried, the beans, whether processed via the dry or wet method, are hulled, polished, and sorted again before being shipped to Nescafe's specialized facilities. Here's where the transformation into instant coffee truly begins. The beans are first roasted in large, rotating drums at carefully controlled temperatures. This step is crucial. It's where the beans develop their final flavor, body, and aroma. After roasting, the beans are quickly cooled and then ground into a fine consistency. But making instant coffee requires more than just grinding it. Requires turning solid coffee into a soluble powder or granule that dissolves instantly in hot water. To achieve this, Nescafe uses one of two advanced techniques: spray drying or freeze drying. In spray drying, the brewed coffee is sprayed into a tall tower filled with hot air. As the droplets fall, the water evaporates, leaving behind fine coffee powder. Freeze drying, on the other hand, involves freezing the coffee. Extract into slabs, breaking them into granules, and drying them in a vacuum chamber. This method better preserves flavor and aroma, making it a top choice for premium products once dried. The instant coffee is packed under strict hygienic conditions to preserve freshness and flavor. The coffee is sealed in moisture-proof containers and labeled for global distribution. At this point, the beans that once ripened under the equatorial sun have been fully transformed, ready to brew in seconds and be enjoyed by millions. Behind every cup of Nescafe is a network of thousands of farmers, scientists, engineers, and food technologists working together to deliver quality and consistency. Nescafe also takes sustainability seriously, investing in responsible farming practices, environmental conservation, and farmer education. Programs like the Nescafe Plan support local communities with training and resources to improve crop yields and reduce ecological impact. The result is a coffee that not only tastes good, but also does good from bean to brew.